You read the title, you know the rules, time for the 1 minute coaster starts now. So of course the first thing we need is a lift hill. It's not a coaster without a lift hill, unless it's a launch coaster, but we're not doing that. So I'm just gonna do this. I don't have my track, damn it. Okay, bam. So now we're gonna go down here, we need a hill. I'd argue at least one hill is what you need to be considered a roller coaster. And then we're gonna have it come back around, and then probably a couple more hills. I'm already almost out of time. I don't think I'm gonna have time to do like banking or anything, so we're just gonna track. That has to be chain. I need power. Okay, and that's time. Well, I guess that's the 1 minute coaster. 1 minute turned out to be a lot less time than I thought it was, but at least we finished something, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a ride. So it goes down to the drop, goes over this super janky hill. That would be really uncomfortable in real life, but at least it is a finished ride, and no banking on the final turn, of course. So that was the 1 minute coaster. It turned out pretty bad. Hopefully the 10-minute one is at least a little bit better. And 10 minutes is quite a bit longer than 1 minute, so I think I'm gonna do a short time lapse for this one. Unfortunately, the replay mod doesn't have great compatibility with the roller coaster mod, so some of the track is invisible. I went back and manually added glass wherever there should be track, so hopefully that's a good enough substitute for actually being able to see it. As you can see here, I'm trying to do a relatively similar layout between all three of the different coasters, so that way it's more of like a fair comparison of like how much better it gets with more time. Here I decided to add a loop, even though this isn't really enough time to spend perfecting the loops, so it ended up being a bit wonky. That's fine. You can't really expect it to be perfect when it's made in 10 minutes. After the loop, my time was already halfway done, so I just did one more turn and a couple more hills to get back to where it started. So now I only had like 3 minutes left to do all the decoration on the entire ride, which is nowhere near enough time to place blocks under the entire track, so I just decided to build a frame around the loop, add some blocks to the lift hill, and then I was just about out of time. And that's time! Overall, this is quite an improvement from the 1 minute one over there. It's still not great. Yeah, the main problem is just the loop. I wanted to try to do an inversion to like challenge myself so it wasn't too easy. But yeah, it didn't turn out super great. It's a very lumpy egg shape rather than a teardrop. Yeah, let's see the POV, see how it turned out. Goes down the drop, around the first turn. Not super smooth, but not the worst of all time. That loop is actually not as bad as I thought it would be. But yeah, everything else is still pretty janky. Around final hill. Okay. Not that bad overall. And it actually, unlike the first one, it actually looks kind of like a roller coaster from afar. Whereas this one is just kind of like a weird thing of track. I just realized that I put this dye in my hotbar so that I would dye the track, and I just completely forgot to do that. So it's just stuck with white track. So now that those two are done, it's time for the third, final, and best coaster of the day. Hopefully this one turns out a bit better than the other two did. It's time for the 1 hour coaster. I'll see you in the time lapse. Time starts now. Yay, it's finally time for the 1 hour coaster. This is what we've all been waiting for. Now before I talk about the ride, I am required to mention that only 0.1% of viewers are subscribed. Make sure you subscribe, blah blah blah, you get it. Anyway, I'm starting this ride very similarly to the 10-minute coaster with a large banked turn going into a loop, but this time I'm spending way more time perfecting that track just to get it as smooth as possible. You can see I'm already almost 10 minutes in. Luckily, adjusting the track like that also happens to make it visible in the replay mod, which is great because adding the glass in the last time lapse took forever. After the loop, I'm going into a helix and then a corkscrew going through the center of the loop. This is actually pretty unrealistic. Right now there are no coasters that have a corkscrew going through a loop like this. The closest thing you'll find is something like Loch Ness Monster at Busch Gardens, which has a loop interlocked with another loop, but that's still pretty different because that's two loops instead of a loop and a corkscrew. So now, one interesting thing about the way I'm doing this is that everything is on a super flat world, whereas in real life, coasters can be made a lot more interesting with how they interact with the natural terrain. So here I'm digging a trench to sort of give that feel of natural terrain, even though it is still on a completely flat world. Now, while I'm finishing out the layout of the ride, I just want to take a minute to talk about this channel a bit. I recently came back from a super long hiatus, so I'm a bit rusty when it comes to the whole YouTube thing. It'd be really helpful if you guys could just take a minute to leave a comment with feedback or what you think I should change going forwards, because I really just want to make the videos that you guys want to watch. So yeah, if you can just take a minute, leave a comment, that would be super helpful for me. The layout of the ride is coming to a close here, and luckily I left a bit of time for decoration on this one. Because I have so much time left, I can go in with Axiom and add in blocks underneath the entire track. The track in this mod is completely flat, so adding blocks underneath it just adds so much more structure to the ride. It makes it look more like a solid construction, instead of just looking like the track is made of a super flimsy piece of paper like it did on the other two coasters. At this point the coaster is basically finished, and I still have a good bit of time left. Using that time, I went back through and added a few smaller details, such as the large diagonal beams propping up the lift hill, and I also removed a lot of unnecessary block clutter from earlier. Okay, as of right now, time is officially up for the 1 hour coaster. It definitely turned out way better than these two. These two are just like there's no structure to them, no blocks into the tracks. It's definitely still not, though, as polished as something like this. This is the Cyclone from Coney Island, if you didn't see my last video. This is way more polished, as a station and everything. This took about 4 or 5 hours, so 1 hour is definitely less time than you would expect it to be. But for the time I had, I think this turned out pretty well. Make sure to comment which coaster you think is the best out of the 3, like and subscribe, all that stuff. I'll see you guys next time. I'm going to get into the POV.